Hey everyone, as Christians, we care a lot about the situations of other people, and honestly, I care so much about anyone who experiences loneliness around the holidays. There are so many situations that I've seen where people will end up feeling alone this time of year, and I want to go over and talk about 3 of the most common ones that I've noticed. If this video makes you feel less alone, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to this channel. We talk about Christianity and mental health, and the goal really is just to lead you closer to Jesus, but also give you a sense of peace and community because you're never truly alone. We are a community of people who have felt, cast out by the church in the past, and we also suffer from mental illness. Back on our topic of loneliness during the holidays. The first situation I wanted to discuss is being physically alone, and a lot of us are really unable to be with loved ones this holiday season. Some of us live too far away from family, or some of us are sick and we can't be with people. I have family members right now who can't really travel due to battling cancer, but I also know depression can make us want to isolate too and keep us alone during the holidays as well. So mental and physical illness can really isolate us. And I think it's important to really seek Jesus during this time. For me, when I realized how much God loves me, I started feeling truly loved for the first time in my life. And I had this God-sized hole in my heart, and only God could fill it. And that actually made it a lot easier to spend time physically alone because I always know God is with me even if I don't feel it. Obviously, if I knew I'd be alone this holiday season, I would still struggle, but having God would make it, just a little bit better or even a lot better depending on, what you're going through at the moment. If you know someone for sure who will be alone on Thanksgiving or Christmas or any other holiday, make sure you reach out to them because just giving them a text or a phone call can make all the difference. And I know that feeling remembered is just so important because truly when we know other people are celebrating with their loved ones and we're all alone, feeling remembered can restore the love in our hearts. I do remember a year when my grandma was in the hospital on Christmas, and basically our whole entire family spent the day sitting in the family waiting area in the hospital floor she was in, and we took turns going into her room to spend time with her. So we were always with each other, and it just didn't feel right to us that she was in the hospital all alone on Christmas. And I think back to that year, just how important it was that we stayed at the hospital because we did not want her to be all alone. For me, it's really hard to enjoy celebrations if I know someone in my life is all alone. So guys, just check in with those people who are spending the holidays by themselves this year, and also check in on the people who are alone most of the time anyway. Some of us, it's the whole year we feel lonely, not just around the holidays. The second situation I wanted to talk about is dealing with loss. So some of us may be grieving or in mourning over the holidays, and this is such a tender and fragile time for people, knowing that some families will be celebrating their first Thanksgiving or Christmas or even New Year's without someone they love for the first time this year. And I think some of the hardest parts, but not all of them, but some of losing someone are just having to adjust to a change that you never wanted to happen, or maybe you feel like you're expected to act or feel a certain way in grief. I think we all have an idea of what loss should look like, but we all honestly react differently to it. I know some people, we feel regret, which is just so painful. Having regrets from a relationship with someone and them not being here anymore is just so hard to live with. And in this case, we almost always regret not loving someone enough. We regret the lack of love the most. And I felt this when my grandpa died, But I also know how young I was. I was literally in school, and I really didn't understand what love was when he passed. I wasn't close with Jesus yet, and I think no matter what we're feeling, we really need to be gentle with ourselves and gentle with others, and understand that everything we are feeling is valid and good and needed. But I know loss can make the holidays just feel so lonely and empty. But the verse I always cling to is, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted," from Matthew 5. This is a promise to everyone who mourns that they will eventually find comfort. And I also wanted to point out that just because a mourning person finds comfort, it doesn't mean they stop mourning. We are free, honestly, to spend the rest of our lives coming in and out of mourning, because I know that there's always people in our lives that we can never justify not mourning. And I think there's peace in knowing we can always return to mourning, return to grief as needed. We can choose to celebrate the holidays with that grief, or choose to not feel it for a certain period of time, but we can always come back to mourning the ones we loved. The thing with healing from loss, and I'll compare it to forgiveness, is that just because you've already had a season of mourning and grief, or you've already forgiven someone for something, it doesn't mean all the emotions just go away. For example, you may think back to a situation where someone wronged you and you had to forgive them. And even if remembering the situation still causes upset or anger, it's not that you haven't forgiven them. It's probably just your reaction to remembering an unjust scenario. And it's okay to have an emotional reaction to things that were wrong or unjust. And it is okay to express grief whenever you remember someone you love has passed. The third situation where people might feel lonely during the holidays is feeling alienated in group events. So many of us will go to various holiday events with friends and family and work, and we will just feel alone. I know I've been to holiday events in the past as just a single person, and I have felt very unloved because everyone else around me had a date or a significant other. And I went through years of being just so depressed and not wanting to live, and even being with family made me feel alone. I felt like everyone around me was happy and enjoying the day, and I knew I wasn't. And I remember my grandpa and I had this conversation, and he said that he was just so grateful to be surrounded by his family as he got older. And I remember saying, I don't want to get married and I don't want to have kids, because for me, it was like guarding my heart, because I didn't think getting married was ever possible for me. I grew up feeling undesirable and ugly and unwanted because no one ever asked me out. Even as an adult, no one ever asks me out. And so I just remember feeling very unloved and very unworthy. And so for me saying, I don't want to get married one day, was just me guarding my heart for the fact that I thought I was never going to get married. Some of you may feel lonely around loved ones also because of your faith, because you have hit a certain level of your journey with Jesus and you've no one to talk about it with, no one who really understands. And I think especially this year, a lot of people are struggling with political beliefs. And you guys, I think it is just so corrupt to cut family out because of your political beliefs. And I think the problem here is that people are making their political beliefs a part of their identity. So when they meet someone, talk with someone who has different beliefs than them, it's like an attack on their own person. Their identity is being attacked. But what does the Bible preach? What does Jesus say? Jesus tells us both our identity and he tells us who we are as people. And personally, I would never want to make my political beliefs a part of who I am. To me, that just feels weird. My identity is that I am a child of God. I am loved, I am wanted, needed, never forgotten, protected, and I have a beautiful relationship with my Father in heaven thanks to Jesus dying on the cross for me. And I would say that is my identity. But who am I? Like, what qualities make up who I am? And I know I'm someone who values kindness so much. I'm someone who's become very patient in my repentance journey, and I just love giving love to others. I am emotional and not afraid of emotions. I am hardworking. I am persevering. I am meek and obedient to God. I often have a dry sense of humor. You know, I love dogs. They're sent from God, honestly, to show us what unconditional love is like. And all those things make up who I am, but I don't identify as obedient. I identify as a child of God. I can't imagine telling people I identify myself based on my political beliefs. Like, does your opinion on the economy tell me who you are? No, because we'll all have different opinions on the economy based on so many factors like job stability, the ability to afford a home, how much we earn, all of those things. But none of those things tell other people who you are on the inside. I have seen people with tons of money be grateful and generous, and I've seen other people with tons of money take it completely for granted. You know, your income does not dictate who you are, but I do think we all assume things of people who do certain jobs or who own certain things. At the end of the day, it's all just an unfair bias. And I will say almost everyone, I can guarantee you, did not vote out of hate. They voted for someone because they care about other people's lives and their own lives. I really think it's very rare to find someone who actually voted because they hated a specific group of people. Honestly, people almost always vote with a good purpose in mind. I think it's up to us, honestly, to seek out the truth in every scenario. We can't let politics anger us to the point where we are tearing holes in our families. We need to humble ourselves sometimes in order to have these peaceful conversations. And if you're talking to someone, maybe someone you love, and they're getting angry and irrational, I just suggest telling them, I love you. Tell them you love them more than whatever party you voted for, that they are infinitely more important than anyone's political beliefs. And I honestly think just telling someone I love you is such a good way to soften someone's heart. I also understand that in today's environment that a lot of people will still try to fight, but maybe it's just the best thing to tell them you love them and then leave the ball in their court. Because at the end of the day, a one-sided relationship isn't healthy. Both sides need to give love and kindness and respect to one another. Otherwise, it's not really a relationship. It's the same with our relationships with Jesus. God already loves us and has the best plan for us. We just need to do our best to reciprocate that love. It's only a true relationship when you also put in effort, obedience, and love, especially to God, right? So if you end up feeling alienated or alone around family this year, allow God to teach you how to further your relationship with Him and also help guide others into relationship with Him as well. If you feel lonely around the holidays, just know that you're not alone, and it may feel that way, honestly. Unfortunately, a lot of people spend the holidays physically alone, and I've seen a lot of elderly people with this especially. So just make sure you seek out people and you connect with them and check in on them and just express love and care. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Happy holidays, and I'll see you all in my next one.